In the eerie solitude of the moonless night, Officer Mark Williams found myself patrolling the desolate outskirts of a small town. The oppressive silence was punctured only by the rhythmic ticking of my watch, a constant reminder of the passage of time in the sinister realm. As I cruised down a dimly lit road, my headlights cast fleeing shadows on the dilapidated houses and overgrown lawns. The atmosphere was thick with tension, like a suffocating blanket that threatened to envelop me. I couldn't shake the feeling of something was amiss, a primal instinct warning me of impending danger. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in the shadows caught my attention. I slowed the patrol car and peered out of the window, my heart pounding in my chest. There, in the dim glow of a broken streetlight, I saw a figure, tall, emaciated, and draped in what it looked like a tattered black cloak. It stood motionless, its piercing eyes locked into mine. A surge of icy terror coursed through my veins as I realized that the figure was approaching my car. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if it were stalking me with malicious intent. I fumbled for my radio, desperate for a call for backup, but static filled the airwaves, mocking my pleas for help. The figure drew closer, its skeletal hand reaching out towards me. I slammed the door shut and reversed the car, trying to escape its grasp. But to my horror, the figure vanished without a trace, only to reappear in front of my car, blocking my path. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white with fear. The figure's glowing eyes seemed to bore into my soul, sending shivers down my spine. It was as if it could see through my flesh and into the very depths of my being. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, I hit the gas pedal and swerved violently, hoping to throw the figure off balance. The car lurched and skidded it, throwing me against the seatbelt. In the ensuing chaos, I caught a glimpse of the figure stumbling backwards. Seizing the opportunity, I put the car in drive and sped away, leaving the eerie figure behind. As I raced through the empty streets, my mind raced, trying to process the unimaginable horror I had just witnessed. I reported my encounter to my supervisors, but they seemed to dismiss it as a hallucination brought on by stress. I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to it than they believed. The piercing eyes, the skeletal hand, the vanishing act, all of it pointed to something sinister and otherworldly. Days turned into sleepless nights as I grappled with what I had seen. I became paranoid, constantly looking over my shoulder, afraid that the figure would return to finish what he had started. The once familiar streets of my own town now seemed like a labyrinth of hidden threats. Every night, I patrolled with underlying fear that the figure would be waiting for me, lurking in the shadows, ready to claim my life. The piercing glow of its eyes haunted my dreams, turning my nights into a living nightmare. As time went on, the people around me began to notice my change in behavior. My once jovial demeanor had been replaced by a hollow shell, a constant reminder of the terror I had witnessed. My relations crumbled and I became reclusive, consumed by dread that lingered in my heart. One fateful night, as I patrolled the desolate outskirts of town, I noticed a flicker of movement in the shadows. My heart skipped a beat as a cold shiver ran down my spine. It couldn't be. I thought to myself, it couldn't be real. But as the figure stepped into the dim light, there was no denying its malevolent presence. It was the same towering, emaciated figure with piercing, glowing eyes and a tattered black cloak. It hovered there, its hand outstretched as if were reaching for my soul. Fear propelled me into action. I hit the gas pedal, swerving to avoid the figure's grasping hand. But as my car sped away, I caught a glimpse of something horrifying in my rearview mirror. The figure was running after me, its skeletal legs pounding against the pavement. I swerved violently, nearly losing control of the car. The figure continued to pursue me, its relentless footsteps echoing in the silence of the night. In a desperate attempt to escape, I slammed on the brakes and got out of the car, hoping to confront the figure head-on. As I faced the creature, my heart pounding in my chest, it raised its skeletal hand, its glowing eyes fixated on mine. I felt a surge of icy terror as the dark energy coursed through my body, paralyzing me with fear. In a moment of pure desperation, I reached for my gun and fired blindly into the darkness. The bullet hit the figure, sending it tumbling backwards. It let out an ear-piercing shriek that shattered the stillness of the night. As the echoes of the gunshot faded, I cautiously approached the downed figure. I drew closer. I saw that its glowing eyes had dimmed and its body had become a lifeless husk. The nightmare was over, but the scars of that night remained. I remained the unimaginable horror that lurked beyond the veil of our reality. I had faced my fears and emerged a changed man. And as I returned to my duties, I carried with me a newfound determination to protect my own town from the darkness that had threatened to consume it.